I'm going to remarry an 18-year-old girlfriend. You're in the way, so get lost. You're saying you want a divorce, right? That's what I'm saying. Come on, don't joke about stuff like that. You've all treated me poorly for so long. It's too late to panic now that you're faced with a divorce. What? We're not panicking. We're mad that you're the one who first mentioned divorce to Mom. Lower your voice. How can Mom stay so calm about this? I'm mad too. All right, should we get a divorce then? Oh, you're gonna grant me that? Makes things easier. Wait, Mom, are you sure about that? After handling the upbringing of our 3 kids, their extracurriculars, managing household chores, and taking care of my father-in-law, my husband suddenly demanded a divorce. I agreed to the divorce without much resistance, which shocked my daughter, making her raise her voice even higher. My husband celebrated, raising his fists in joy. My daughter doesn't seem convinced by what I said, but that's okay. If everything goes as I expect, things should work out. Even after blocking his calls, my ex-husband showed up at our home a month later. I'm a 37-year-old part-time, and I got married to Bob, who's 2 years older than me, after an unexpected pregnancy. After marriage, we were blessed with 2 children. Our 13-year-old daughter, Katie, is now in middle school, and our first son, Jake, has turned 6 and started elementary school. With 1 child in middle school and another in elementary, one would think the most hectic parenting days are behind us, but 2 years ago, our younger son, Tim, was born, so we're still deep in the parenting chaos. However, I have strong support, so I've managed to juggle household chores, parenting, and work. Yes, you have it. Prepare it yourself. I'll get ready after breakfast. Didn't you forget to take it with you last week? Prepare it first. Seeing me always hustling and bustling, my daughter naturally started to back me up. She's already showing signs of being a strong-willed mother figure, and it's honestly a relief to have her helping out. I'm admittedly relying on her a bit too much. But sometimes I feel ashamed to rely on my child for parenting support. However, leaning on my dog-eater is due to me working, parenting, and also taking care of my father-in-law. Mary, I'm sorry, but I need to go to the bathroom. Can you help me? Of course. Let's stand up slowly. I always feel bad asking for help. My father-in-law always looks apologetic towards me, but I've never found him to be a burden. Although people call it caregiving, my father-in-law just has weak legs, and with some support, he can manage his daily tasks by himself. So, it's more about support than actual caregiving. However, my father-in-law, Ken, is 70 and my mother-in-law is 68. My mother-in-law can't support my father-in-law by herself, so for about 3 years now, our family has been living with my in-laws. Living with in-laws can often lead to disputes, but luckily, I've stayed out of it. Welcome home, Mary. Thanks for your hard work at the part-time job. Lunch is ready, you'll eat, right? Thanks, I'll have some. I really appreciate it. Don't mention it. Oh, by the way, I noticed Jake's school shirt had a button missing, so I fixed it. I hope it's okay I went ahead and did that? You fixed it for him? That helps a lot. Thank you. My mother-in-law often helps out with housework and taking care of my children. Additionally, my father-in-law enjoys spending time with Jake when he gets home from school. When I was pregnant with Tim, I don't know what we would have done without their help. Ironically, even though we moved in to help my in-laws, it feels like they're the ones supporting us more. I often feel indebted to my in-laws for this, but they always reassure me that there's no need. I really appreciate you, Mary. Living with your spouse's parents can't be easy, but you've taken it in stride. That's right, I can't manage Ken on my own. Besides, we love being able to live with our grandchildren. You might think we're helping out, but we genuinely enjoy doing these things. It's been 3 years since we started living with my in-laws, and while there have been busy moments, life has been fun. However, there's one thing that worries me. Over these 3 years, I've noticed a gradual change in my husband's behavior. One morning, it was the usual scene. Didn't you forget to give out the paper yesterday? I always tell you to do it properly. I just forgot yesterday, okay? Mary, when you're heading home from your shift today, could you pick up some sewing thread from the store? Sure. Could you also buy me a new nail clipper? The one I'm using now has become dull. It seems my husband doesn't care much for this mundane scene. You have it good, don't you? You get help with the housework and taking care of the children. How can you say that? You probably don't know since you don't help, but both housework and childcare are challenging. Plus, I have to go to work as well. You're just working a laid-back part-time job, aren't you? What's gotten into you, Dad, taking your frustrations out on Mom? It's not like that. There are folks who handle housework, childcare, and their jobs all by themselves. I just want to say you have it too easy. My husband left his toast untouched and left for work. I sometimes face complaints from my husband. It seems he's displeased with the fact that I get help from his parents. But, thanks to Katie being on my side and my in-laws backing me up, my husband often reluctantly steps down. Perhaps feeling uncomfortable being the odd one out, my husband started spending less time at home. Welcome back. You're late again today, huh? I don't need dinner, I'm gonna take a shower and go to bed. My husband started coming home later and began spending weekends on his own. Even though the lack of support from the family is his own doing, he's sulking about it. It feels like we have a fourth child in the house. But remember, he's a grown man nearing 40 and a father. We can't have him acting like a child forever. I don't mind if you don't help with housework, but could you at least assist a little with childcare? Why don't you ask my mom or someone else? Didn't Katie start attending swimming classes? She comes home late, so I pick her up. And Jake joined a soccer club, remember? It's fine during regular practice, but there are times during the weekend when I have to drive him a bit farther for friendly matches. I can't ask her to do that, can I? I'm not doing any pickups or drop-offs. Why do I have to do that after a tiring day at work, even late at night or on my days off? You work part-time and can drive, so you should handle it. If I'm busy driving them around, who's gonna manage the house? I'd end up leaning on your parents even more. I get that you're tired from work, but help out a bit, won't you? Didn't you promise to support when both of them started their activities? That meant I'd foot the bill. If you can't manage the pickups and drop-offs, maybe they shouldn't be doing those activities. My husband's complaints aren't just directed at me, he's frustrated with our children for not taking his side either. Seems like this fourth, grown child of ours is the most demanding of all. I can't ask them to quit their activities, so I decided to manage their pickups and drop-offs. But I can't keep relying on my in-laws any more than I already am. I made a point to ensure I didn't increase the burden on my in-laws. But, the drive to pick up and drop off takes about an hour to 2 hours. The efficiency of housework and childcare inevitably decreases. To make up for that decrease in efficiency, I started waking up early or cutting down on my sleep to do housework and childcare. I make sure to use every spare moment for housework and childcare. Without a break, with a body exhausted from housework and childcare, I also go to my part-time job and continue to support my father-in-law. There's no way I can keep pushing myself like this indefinitely. I felt the limits of sheer determination. I talked to my husband again, but he said, "Huh? Didn't I tell you I'm not gonna do the pickups and drop-offs?" And he flatly refused. So, I've been continuing the pickups and drop-offs for my kids, hiding my exhaustion. I'm home. Welcome back, Mary. You okay? Isn't the drive tough? I'm fine. I'll get dinner ready. I force a smile, trying to hide my fatigue. I can't rely on my in-laws any more than I already have. Even though it might be better to rely on my in-laws, that's just not who I am. Moreover, it seems like bad things just keep happening one after another. My father-in-law passed away from a heart attack. In the hospital, seeing my father-in-law, who remained asleep, Katie, my mother-in-law and I shed tears, and Jake was silently looking down, tears in his eyes. It's no wonder that my 2-year-old son, Tim, doesn't understand the situation and looks puzzled. But why is my husband acting so nonchalant about it all? Well, Dad was over 70. It's a part of life. Let's think positively, no more helping him with a bathroom or bath. My husband isn't the type to tell jokes to cheer us up. He probably means it. Even if it was a joke, it's incredibly insensitive. But right now, the sadness is far more overwhelming than the anger. So, we ignored my husband and mourned the loss of my father-in-law. We need to get the funeral arrangements sorted out soon. Perhaps our reaction wasn't what he expected. My husband left the room with a dismissive comment, clearly annoying us. Because of this incident, the emotional distance between our family and my husband grew even further. I'm gonna be late tonight, so no need to make dinner. It's been 2 years since my father-in-law passed away, and my husband continues to act recklessly, all on his own. He doesn't help with housework or childcare. I'm still the one taking our 2 kids everywhere. The trips to drop off and pick up Tim from preschool have also increased. Moreover, he's coming home later than before, sometimes not even returning on weekends. And to top it off, he's been reckless with money. Hey, did you spend money again? It's fine, ain't it? Most of it is money I earned anyway. We have 3 children, you know. We still need money. Stop wasting it. Enough. Just keep quiet and take care of the house. By now, the relationship between my husband and me had grown ice cold. The main reason we hadn't divorced was not just because of our children but also out of concern for my mother-in-law. I'm sorry, it's been such a pain. You can leave him anytime you want. My mother-in-law sometimes tells me it's okay to get a divorce, but if I did, it might leave my husband and her alone together. Considering how sweet my mother-in-law has always been to me, I can't bear the thought of leaving her with my husband. So, whenever my mother-in-law brings up the topic of divorce, I always just laugh it off. After all, as long as I have my 3 lovely children and sweet mother-in-law, that's enough for me, even if my relationship with my husband has gone cold. But, a turning point in our lives was approaching. My mother-in-law suffered a stroke. Although her life wasn't in danger, my mother-in-law was left with cognitive impairments. The view from that mountain is so beautiful. I really love it. I went there just last week. Oh, that sounds amazing. I'd love to see that view from the mountain someday. Katie listens to my mother-in-law with a smile. However, my mother-in-law hadn't gone to the mountain last week. Due to her cognitive impairment, my mother-in-law mistakes memories from years ago for recent events. Moreover, she repeats the same story over and over again. Still, Katie always listens patiently, nodding and smiling until she feels content. I was worried about providing enough support when my mother-in-law first fell ill, but Katie has been a huge help with both caregiving and housework. Seeing Katie help me out, Jake also started to help by taking care of Tim. I truly realized that this is what supporting each other in a family means. It's just a shame that my husband's support isn't part of this. Why doesn't that guy help out at home? Even Jake is helping Tim. Calling him that guy when talking about the father. He's no father. I can't blame Katie for being so frustrated. Well, I'd rather not have him interfere. My husband continues to come home late and goes out on the weekends. While him spending money is an issue, I'm not interested in what he's doing outside. So, it's better for me if he just remains indifferent. That's how I felt, and I ignored my husband. But about 6 months after my mother-in-law fell ill, my husband dropped a bombshell on our family. I'm going to remarry an 18-year-old girlfriend. You're in the way, so get lost. Excuse me? When the kids were asleep, my husband, who had just gotten home, suddenly asked for a divorce. I was so shocked that I couldn't speak, my mind went blank. Even if I had help, I've been managing household chores, raising our children, and working. I even took care of his father and am still caring for his mother. Why would my husband, who hasn't helped with anything at home or with my in-laws, suddenly ask for a divorce? And he says he's going to remarry an 18-year-old girl. No matter how hard I tried to understand, I couldn't comprehend what he was saying. So, you're saying you want to get divorced? That's right. Don't joke about this. I thought she was asleep, but it seemed Katie was awake. She overheard our conversation and couldn't hold herself back, bursting into the room. You've always treated me poorly, right? It's too late to get flustered now that I've asked for a divorce. What? I'm not flustered. We're mad that you're the one asking Mom for a divorce. Katie's anger was so intense that I couldn't talk to my husband. It's nice that she's mad at my husband for me, but at this rate, Jake and Tim might wake up. Katie, don't raise your voice. How can you stay so calm, Mom? I am mad too. But first, let your dad and I talk. You go back to your room. No, I'm still here. Katie didn't seem to want to go back to her room. Although she remained silent, she crossed her arms and glared at my husband, showing no intention of moving. It's not ideal to talk about divorce in front of my child, but sometimes it's unavoidable. So, you were always coming home late or going out on weekends for that girl, huh? Yeah, I've been seeing her for about a year now. She's a waitress at my favorite local pub. And unlike you, she's nice and sweet. While that sounds like an affair rather than just dating, that's not the point I'm focusing on right now. She's too young, isn't she? Are her parents okay with this? Her parents are against it. If she marries me, she'll be disowned. How are you planning on getting married without her parents' approval? Doesn't matter. We can get married. We've been waiting for this for a year. I tried to address the human connections and morals. But I felt like I was talking to a brick wall with my husband. At this point, I couldn't care less about the divorce or the affair. What worries me is what will happen to my mother-in-law after the divorce. I glanced at a photo of my mother-in-law on a shelf in the corner of the room. It was a picture from when my mother-in-law was still vibrant, hiking in the mountains with a bright smile. Seeing my mother-in-law's smiling face in the photo brought me relief, and I remembered how she always told me that it was okay to let go. All right. Shall we get a divorce? Oh, you're willing to divorce? That makes things easier. Wait, Mom, are you sure about this? Because I so readily agreed to the divorce and made it sound trivial, Katie raised her voice in surprise. My husband, on the other hand, looked elated and was practically cheering. I can't accept this. It's okay. What's okay about it? It's okay. I repeated the same words, trying to convey to her with my eyes that there was more to this decision than meets the eye. It seemed she, with whom I've spent so much time as family, understood my feelings. However, my husband, who hasn't been much of a family figure, didn't catch on to the silent exchange between her and me. If things go as I anticipate, everything should fall into place. We've decided to get a divorce, but with children involved, there are still many details to discuss. So, I can't leave the house right now. Of course, I can take my children, right? Absolutely. In fact, take them. They're in the way, such a hassle. Got it. But I can't just leave with them right now, so give me a moment. Fine, you can stay here until you find a place to move. I'll be with my girlfriend till then. But make sure to leave in 2 weeks. As my husband happily left the house, Katie looked at me anxiously. Don't worry, honey. You really think a man like that can be happy? I bet Grandpa up in heaven will make sure he gets what's coming to him. I showed her a reassuring smile, trying to ease her worries. Seeing me smile, she gave me a slight, relieved smile in return. The next day, I reported my divorce to my mother-in-law. I'm sorry, but I've decided to get a divorce. It's all right, dear. I'm sorry for all the hardships till now. Though we were conversing, I'm not sure if my mother-in-law fully understood the gravity of the situation. Nevertheless, my mother-in-law's words were a comfort to me. 2 weeks later, I left the house with my 3 children. The place we moved to wasn't too far from my hometown. The reason was not just to avoid transferring my children to a different school and to continue my part-time job, but there was another motive. The divorce went smoothly since I didn't bring up his affair. I decided not to press on with the affair because getting child support without any hiccups was more important to me than fussing over anything. However, in exchange for not bringing up the affair, he'll have to pay child support. Eager to start his life with his 18-year-old new wife, my ex-husband, Bob, didn't think twice about the long-term implications and accepted my terms. How long do you think, Mom? 2 months? I'm guessing a month. You think he's that weak? Surely he can hold out for at least 2 months. I explained to Katie why I divorced him without making a big fuss. Understanding my reasoning, she looked forward to that day with anticipation. A month after the divorce, I got a call from my ex-husband on my cell. See, it's been about a month, right? Not yet. I don't think he's at his breaking point, so let's watch for a bit longer. From then on, my ex-husband called me incessantly, almost every 10 minutes during the night. At night, I receive a call every 10 minutes. With this, I really can't relax at home, so I blocked his number. I've given him my address, so there's no issue if he can't reach me by phone. If he gets really desperate, he'll probably come to my house. A month after blocking him, he finally showed up at my door. Please, come back. I was wrong. Through the door, he loudly pleaded for help. Given it's nighttime, I didn't want to stir up gossip among the neighbors, so I reluctantly let him in to hear him out. I left Tim in the care of Jake and sat with Katie to listen to his story. Well, I'm guessing it's probably what I expected. I kinda have an idea about what happened, but can you explain? After you left, I started living at my parents' home with my girlfriend and mom. But let me guess, your girlfriend couldn't handle taking care of your mother and gave up? Yeah. I didn't think she'd bail so easily. Even Katie, when she was in middle school, managed it. You realize that's to be expected? Caring for an elder isn't about guts. Katie could care for your mother because she's family. Just like I could care for your folks because they were kind to me. I felt like they were truly my in-laws. And you thought some girl would just step in and start taking care of your mother because you told her to? Well, I bet you dumped all the housework on her, didn't you? Anyone would get fed up. Especially an 18-year-old. So, did you two break up? No, we weren't even officially married yet. We were planning it on our anniversary. It's a blessing in disguise for her. She dumped you just like that, huh? From my own experience, young women sometimes find older men attractive. I believe that an 18-year-old girl genuinely wanted to marry my ex-husband. If she hadn't done so, she probably wouldn't have gone against her parents' wishes and come to my in-laws' home. She must have heard about my mother-in-law beforehand. But maybe the challenges of marital life and taking care of my mother-in-law were way harder than she imagined. It's pretty tough to overcome such trials at a naive age of 18. If they're gonna make the marriage work, my ex-husband's support will be crucial, but he isn't lifting a finger. Even more so, I'm doubtful if he had even sufficiently explained and prepared her for the reality. But that new wife of yours cut ties with her family to marry you. Her folks said they'd disown her, but they never did in the end. Right now, they're taking her in. What do you mean they're taking her in? Wait, did you? Well, if your wife runs out on you, you chase after her, right? But her parents are saying she's scared and that I shouldn't come around anymore. This is between a husband and wife, right? Shouldn't we be talking it out? And now they're saying if I persist, they're gonna talk to a lawyer. A 40-year-old man pressuring an 18-year-old girl is scary enough in itself. If a daughter comes running back home from a man, it's only natural for the parents to protect her. Plus, the fact they're consulting a lawyer and not the police shows how serious they are. The police can't act unless there's evidence, but with a lawyer, they might have more leverage. And even if the police won't move, they might be able to sue him in a civil court. People might say they'll cut ties, but family bonds aren't that easily broken. I can't imagine ever cutting ties with my children, no matter what they did. But he probably can imagine cutting ties with his children. I don't care about you or your new wife anymore. What I'm worried about is Grandma you left alone. Is she all right? She's asleep. I've set up a security camera. She's alone in the house? Unbelievable! Hand over the keys now! Katie snatched the keys from him without hesitation and immediately went to check on my mother-in-law. What were you thinking? I've reached my limit. No matter what I do, she's always like, what about Katie? How about Jake and Tim? And then she starts saying things I don't understand. I lost my wife, and I can't take care of my mom on my own anymore. Please, come back. Maybe the reason she calls for us and not you is because you're not really being a family to her. Just because your blood doesn't make you family. If you were truly family, you'd understand what she's trying to say. Neither Katie nor I ever thought she was talking nonsense. Do you even realize how stupid you've been? He just looked down and didn't say a word. If he had shown regret for what he had done before he came, that would have been the best outcome for me. I handed the brochure I had prepared to him. I don't plan on remarrying you. But you can't take care of your mother, right? How about putting her in a care facility? I suggested to Hai that we put his mother in a nursing home nearby. I'd feel a lot more at ease if she were in a facility rather than with a helpless guy. And if we visit her at the facility, we don't have to see him every time, and both I and my children can still see her. The brochure I gave to him was from a facility close to our house. One of the reasons we didn't move too far away after leaving our previous home was because of this. All right, I'll do it. Now, I've managed to achieve my goal. I got divorced, protected my mother-in-law, and ensured we could visit her anytime. So, shall we head to your place? Wait, does that mean? He seemed to think his remorse and regret had touched my heart. Don't get the wrong idea. I'm just picking up Katie. She ran off earlier without giving me a chance to stop her. It's nighttime, and it's only natural for me to go get our child, even if our homes are close by. Realizing he had jumped the gun, he looked dejected. Although I returned to our old home after 2 months, I didn't meet my mother-in-law. I just took my eldest daughter with me and went straight home. I can meet my mother-in-law anytime now, so for the time being, just hearing from my eldest daughter is enough. Grandma said she went hiking yesterday. She's as energetic as ever. It's not fair that only Sis got to see Grandma. I wanted to see her too. It's late now, so be patient. We're gonna be able to see Grandma from now on. It seems like your plan worked out. Yes, I was able to separate him from Grandma. On the way home, I felt so happy thinking about seeing my mother-in-law again that I found myself humming while driving. Later on, my mother-in-law entered the care facility. How have you been feeling? I've been feeling good lately. According to the staff, when my mother-in-law first arrived, she looked gloomy and didn't speak much. But when me and my children started visiting, her mood gradually lightened, and she began talking more. With my mother-in-law in the care facility, my ex-husband was left living alone in the old family house. He finally gave up on his new bride when he was told by her parents to consult a lawyer. I'm really glad he didn't become a stalker. But I bet his girlfriend must have been terrified. I get that he didn't want to lose his young wife, but as an adult, you gotta know when to back off. I found out later that when my ex-husband started complaining about me and acting weird, he had made a mistake at work. Apparently, it was a big one that got him sidelined. He didn't like it when I was thriving at home with the help of our family while he was being sidelined at work. He started to complain about me and, feeling isolated at home, he sought allies outside and ended up with an 18-year-old girl. He must have liked being relied upon by a younger person. Seems like a very childish reason to me. Also, not just his wife, but it seems like he's been abandoned by my mother-in-law too. Nice to meet you. It's a beautiful day, isn't it? Despite remembering us well, it seems my mother-in-law has forgotten that my ex-husband's her son. His childlike behavior led to our divorce, and he ultimately ended up all alone. This took a toll on his mental health, and he made another mistake at work. One mistake led to another, and he's facing demotions and pay cuts. Considering his mental state, I think he should take a break from work, but he probably can't afford to. When we divorced, I agreed not to make a fuss about his affair in exchange for child support, so he doesn't have much money left. But he needs to pay child support for my children and the costs for my mother-in-law's care facility. So, no matter his mental state, he needs to work and earn money. It's really tough when you don't have someone to lean on. I got a job to support my children. Tim is still young, but Katie and Jake are taking care of him. It's really comforting to have someone who genuinely supports you.